So, yes, call roll.
Okay, sorry. Ms. Smith? Oh, I thought I saw that she had logged on. Ms. LaBeouf?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Hey, Sherry, I am here.
Okay. Mr. Cole, you're muted, I believe.
I'm here.
Mr. Jarman?
Here.
Mr. Foley? Mr. Roberts?
I'm here.
Mr. Gear?
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have September minutes. Everyone have a chance to go over the minutes and the additions or the revised minutes. Let's just say that. So we take a motion to approve.
I move we approve the minutes of the September 3rd, 2020 meeting as corrected by Mr. Cole.
Second.
Okay, so, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Any communications from the vice chair?
No, sir.
Okay, so case 1 in old business has been withdrawn. And are we doing the English Circle case? Is that been carried over again, or is that for today?
We emailed them and did not hear back. This is the second time that the second week or the second month that we've not heard back from them.
Carried it over, not heard from. Okay, so
Yes, so it's up to you what you want to do.
Mr. Jarman?
Yes.
This is Nikki. I was copied on an email from them that stated something along the lines of they did not want to be heard. They were going to reevaluate and possibly come back in the spring. Now, he did not say the word withdrawn. However, I would suggest that we consider it withdrawn because we're not going to continue to carry it over with the possibility of it being come back in the spring. I would suggest that we go ahead and dismiss it.
Okay, and that's a new one. What is the procedure for that?
I would just someone to make a motion to
Just to dismiss the case. Okay,
Yeah.
we would like to make a motion to dismiss case SV 200903.
I so move.
So move.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second. Whoever. I don't know who the other voice was.
This is Stuart Roberts. I think maybe we should take a roll call vote on this just to make sure there are no questions about it.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty, so let me see who was, all right, so I had two people at the same time said that they were making the motion, and then two people said that they seconded. So who wants to be first and who wants to be second?
Ties first.
I'll be second.
Okay. All right, so there we go. I got y'all straightened out. Ms. Smith?
Jerry, will you please restate the question so I know whether I'm voting yes or no?
The motion is to dismiss the case for 307 English Circle because they emailed and said that they will
Got it.
reconsider in the spring.
Got it. I vote yes.
Ms. LaBeouf?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
And Mr. Foley did not come in, so I'm going to keep him. Okay. Mr. Jarman?
It looks like we lost Mr. Jarman, so he has
All right.
disappeared, so we may want to give him a minute to get back.
Or, well, I've got a spare, so I've got Mr. Geary and Mr. Roberts, so they can vote until we can get Mr. Jarman back. Of course, we can't really proceed until he comes back, but
One of the supernumeraries could,
yeah, Mr. Jarman is just MIA for a second, so we'll get him back. Mr. Gear,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
thank you.
Mr. Jarman is back. Waiting for him to unmute, I guess.
Sorry, I'm back. I was having Wi-Fi problems.
That happens.
Mhm. So where did we leave off? Did we get a
Okay,
motion to dismiss?
We did. We have a motion to dismiss, and both of our supernumeraries voted in your stead. And so the motion carried to dismiss based on communication from the applicant that they were going to revisit in the spring.
Okay. Okay, then we will move on to new business. Case number 1, SV 2010-01, 306 Laredo Circle, excuse me. Is the applicant here to speak about this case?
We are here. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, if you would like to state your name and address and the nature of your hardship.
My name is Kevin Misso. We are here for 306 Laredo Circle. Our hardship is our lot isn't deep enough for the 2-car garage to be added in the rear and have the distance we need toward the road to have our 25-foot setback.
Okay,
This is Paul Shabacker. I'm probably the purchaser of the house. And so real quickly, what happened is the way the house was originally designed was with a 1-car carport in the rear of the lot. And we strongly prefer a 2-car garage, which required the house to be pulled forward 4 feet, which does create a small pie-shaped variance request for the very corner of the house. We don't have to have it, but we just think it's a better home to have this variance, and so that's the request.
okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak to this case, they can add their name to the speaker list at this time and be heard. Okay, looks like we do not have any public comments. We'll close the public portion and open up to questions from the board.
I wanted to make sure, as I understand it, and if I'm looking at the plan on sheet A 1.1, the house pretty much is behind the front setback, other than, I believe Mr. Shabacker said, a pie shape, that little corner triangle. Is that the part we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
What is that, the concrete decking that's on the left? Is that what is encroaching a little bit? Is that what?
It's a fraction of the sun porch on the front.
Okay. But by the rendering, it looks like the house itself is set back a little bit behind that porch area. I guess.
It's that little left front corner of the house.
Yeah.
Correct.
You can see that between the two dotted lines. So
Okay. That's a little different.
is this,
Go
go ahead,
sorry, go
Brian.
ahead, Beverly.
Okay.
No, I was looking at the actual, like, I don't know, the rendering image of the house, which just confused me a little bit with the actual plans. That helps. Okay.
So this is the garage to the right?
In the rear.
So I think a lot of people are misunderstanding the front door. The front door is actually on the plans where you see the stairs come out. If the stairs are facing La Preda, the back of the house is where the two-car garage is. And most people misunderstand the right side of the house as the front, but it's actually the larger parapet wall that appears to be 3 windows,
Okay.
which is 2 windows and a door is actually the front of the structure.
The narrow long house versus a wide house.
So you can't move it back to get that up against the garage?
Not with the 2-car garage, we can't, because we're within all of our setbacks with everything except for this small portion. If we move back any, it would be in the garage. We'd have to get rid of the garage.
Is there anything currently on the property, or was the existing house demolished?
The existing house was demolished.
Okay, so there's nothing standing on that lot right now.
Correct.
Okay.
It looked to me like that lot had already been graded with a kind of flat part at the top. I assume the entire structure you're talking about would all be on the already graded flat.
That's correct.
Trying to get a sense of how deep that was. All right, thanks.
Well, I move we approve BZA case SV 20-10-01.
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Jarman,
Yes.
Mr. Gear,
No.
Okay. Thank you. Your case is approved. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Case number 2, SV-20-10-02, 1500 Wellington Road.
Real Sherry, I finally made it on. This is Mr. Foley.
Thank you.
Is the applicant for 1500 Wellington Road in the building.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Okay, will you
Hello.
state your name and address and the nature of your hardship?
Bob Rapier, 1500 Wellington Road.
And the nature of your hardship for your case?
Well, I'm a little confused about the whole situation. I drove down to Wyatt Pugh's office and consulted with Wyatt Pugh and Bobby Bullock before I ever constructed the building. I don't have a backyard. I don't have a front yard. I have a street, Wellington Road, that runs in front of my house. That's where my mailbox is. And then I have a street that runs behind my house, Ridge Road. So there's not a clear front yard, not a clear backyard. The construction of the building is technically what we've always considered to be the backyard because our mailbox is on Wellington Road. So we've always looked at Ridge Road as our backyard. But there's nothing in your ordinance that clarifies where you can construct a building that doesn't have a delineated front yard or backyard or side yard.
Okay. Any BEZ staff would like to chime in, that'd be fine.
Actually, the definitions call a front yard is anything that is along a road right of way. Outside is
I can't hear Vicky.
Yeah, what Vicky is saying is basically what I said on page 3 of the staff report. You've got the code, according to the code, he has 3 front yards and a side yard. He has no rear yard as the code defines it. If this were an interior lot somewhere, the fact that he constructed the accessory structure behind the house would have put it on a rear yard on your basic average lot. This is not a basic average lot. It is 3 front yards. Again, yard.
So I'm confused. What are we ruling about? I got a utility building that exists, the one that's proposed. I get the 2 or the 3 front yards, but what are we being asked?
He has the building is there. He came in and spoke with staff. He, a building this size would not require a building permit, but it would require, it just has to meet, it has to meet zoning. And since he didn't have to pull a permit, he did not have to submit a plot plan to begin with. The code does not exempt you from meeting zoning requirements, but, and so once he built it, it was brought to our attention, and it was at that point that he had to apply for a variance in order to keep it where it currently is.
So I guess where I'm confused is the drawing shows the built one, but it also has proposed. Are we not talking about a proposed one right now?
It
We're
is
just talking
not a
about the
proposed
existing
one. We are talking about the one that exists. That's the photograph in staff's report of the white building. that is a view from Ridge Road and
Yeah,
from
from
the,
Ridge Road, it's from the to the left of the deck, right? That's the one we're talking about.
well, it's to the right. If you were standing in the middle of Ridge Road and didn't get run over by a car, you would have a chance to see that the deck is on the back of the house, and this building is to the right of that deck over, you know, in this little grove of this treed area.
Well, I'm confused. This drawing has two utility buildings. Is that
There
not
was,
true?
there was one that was there before that was destroyed by fire.
Oh,
And
okay, so the one on the left was destroyed by the fire.
correct. And this one
Okay.
is existing, but it's proposed on the
Got you.
drawing.
We're simply approving that this counts as his backyard.
I beg your pardon?
We're simply approving that this counts as his backyard for purposes of its current location, that it's not the front of the house.
We're just saying that because he has 3 front yards, and this is technically the rear elevation of his house, that the utility building is as properly placed as can be on this particular lot.
Right. Okay.
Kind of circle back to Ty's question. I see the sheet he's talking about now, and I apologize, I was reading and listening at the same time. There is just the one utility
Correct.
building that
Correct.
is already constructed, that is white, that is on the right side if you're facing the deck.
Correct.
The other one burned when it was on fire and all. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it burned when it was on fire.
Yes. Thank you.
It was on fire, all right.
And it burned.
Big time.
Yes. I remember that.
Yes.
We consider the deck to be on the back of the house. And that's why we constructed the building right there beside the deck. Basically at the end of the driveway.
Makes sense.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open the public portion since we haven't done that yet. Open the public portion of this case. If anyone would like to speak to this case, they may add their name to the speaker list. Seeing none, we will close the public portion. And are there any more questions or comments from any board members? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, like, so if this were considered the backyard, or what would the setback be on this property for backyard?
If
or-
this were a backyard, with this structure being under 15 feet tall, it would just have to be 5 and 5.
Okay, thank you.
My understanding is it satisfies the set.
Mr. Chairman, the way the motion needs to be is that it's a variance to the accessory structure limitation to being in the rear yard. Because it's a rear yard, the definition.
Vicky, we can't hear you. You'll either need to get closer to your speaker, or I mean to your microphone, or yeah.
I believe Vicky, if you can hear me, then just, you know, tap or whistle or something if I'm correct. But I believe Vicky was saying that the motion is going to need to follow what the request actually is, which is to allow an accessory structure in a front yard of a corner lot. Oh, wait, she's texting me. Let's see. Yes, yeah, so what I just said is what she was trying to tell us, is that the motion needs to match what the variance request is, which is to allow an accessory structure in the front yard of a corner lot.
That wasn't my request.
Well, that's the only request that you can have unless, well, I mean, what your request, you have 3 front yards
Okay.
according to the code.
Okay.
So the variance, as we understood it, was to let you keep the building where it is currently sitting, which is in one of your front yards.
Okay, I understand you. I got you.
And let me just say, this is the first staff report that I have somewhat quoted poetry. And I said that you had yard everywhere, nor not a rear in sight. So you had no rear yard. You just have 3 fronts and a side.
I move we approve BZA case SV 20-10-02 to allow an accessory structure in a front yard of a corner lot.
I second.
Okay, Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Jarman,
Yes. Okay, your application passes. You, well, say you need to pull your permit, but that's already handled. So you're good. You're approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, moving on to case number 3, which is SV 2010-03, which is 1636 Dobbs Lane. Is Mr. Ellis available?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you state your name and address and the nature of your hardship, please.
Mike Ellis, and I am the contractor. And the variance is in request to 1636 Dobbs Lane for a rear addition of an 8-foot by 20-foot addition to the rear of the house. And this came about by their closing survey that Ms. Simpson, the homeowner, received at closing, was used in the drawing of the design. Then after foundation was in, a foundation survey showed that the first survey was incorrect as far as the structure on the lot. And as far as I know, back when the house was built, there was a variance evidently approved for the way the house is now. So we were just adding an addition to the rear corner of the house.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak about this case, they may add their name to the speaker list.
Mr. Jarman,
Yes.
if any members are unclear about the details, I kind of detailed it on page 2 of the staff report, which gives you a kind of a quick synopsis of what happened. And
Mhm. Well,
Apparently left
Hey,
all my
Brian, you
printouts.
still have the
Yeah.
you still have the public portion open. With you, once that's closed, I've got questions to staff.
I'm sorry, I thought I did that. Yes, is there no public comments? We'll close the public portion and open it up to questions from the board.
So I don't have a copy of the old survey. Would that be true in our packet?
there's two in there
There should be, it should be in there. It's,
dated May.
No, these are
It's-
two new ones.
well,
2020 is new. That's not old.
well, but it was used.
But I don't see that what's wrong between those.
Okay, you
That's, I
see
guess I
the,
need explanation on that.
okay, look at the one that is dated, all right, one of them says, one of them says, property boundary survey. Do you see that?
Yeah,
That's the one from May.
that's the one
yes.
that's May 29th.
Okay, and then the second one says closing survey.
Correct.
See the difference in the house shape?
Oh, that's the second one is not the addition.
No. The second one
Oh,
is,
that's what I'm fooled with.
the second one is the house. The addition is that area on the back that,
I got you.
okay. So,
I was thinking that the second one was showing me the addition. I'm like, well, it looks the same as the other. Got you.
so the,
Yeah, that's
it
definitely
was-
different.
and so when staff reviewed the addition based on the first survey, it was fine. But then when the foundation survey was submitted, which is that second survey, we were a little confused. And then we made a phone call and kind of figured out what had happened. And went from there.
What did
So
the surveyor say?
Wagan literally, go ahead, Beverly.
I was just gonna say, what did Wagan say happened?
It was just a mistake.
He said, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just oops. He was very, very sorry, if that helps any. But yes, he.
So the house in May was actually, looks like the one in the closing survey. How in
Correct.
the heck can he do that?
Looks like
That
he used an
makes no
old,
sense.
looks like he used an old survey from, apparently from files that he had. And yeah, I think there was an addition added to that house back in the 90s. And the files that he had were apparently previous to that addition. So when he ordered the survey, when he did the survey, and he used his files to prepare that survey, he was not aware that there was an addition on that house.
That means he didn't go out there then.
Out there.
That is,
I can't speak to that, but
yeah. That's just
Okay.
not something
All
that
right.
we can get into.
I guess we're getting to the legal part of the
Right,
discussion
and that's
now.
just,
Okay.
that's the reason.
All I can
He
say
did,
is I relied on his survey.
Yeah, I get it. All right.
As you would.
as we, yeah,
Wow.
should be, yeah, you could. He did say that,
That's amazing.
that he thought that a variance had been approved during the 90s. Let me just say, I read lots and lots of minutes from the mid 80s to the mid 90s. And it was a whole lot of fun, but I didn't find anything for a variance being approved at that during that time frame for this house. So I'm not doubting that it happened. I'm just saying we never found it. And there was a file in, where we keep variance files, but there was no indication that a variance had been approved. There was nothing in there that gave us anything. So we're not sure even how the house became non-conforming to begin with.
Well, that's definitely not germane to the fact that he
No.
didn't go out there and survey it correctly.
Well,
That's where we are today.
and
So we're now caught up to the dilemma.
yes.
Is the addition the part that's just squaring off the back right side of the house?
Yes.
That spot there.
And at this point, the house addition is actually still skewing away from the property line.
That's correct.
And so that's the dimension for the variance, which is 4.7.
Yeah, starting at the corner of the existing structure is 4.7. I don't think we've measured the exact amount. If you go 8 feet, we'd be further away from property line than that.
Right, I see that now in the second drawing. Thank you.
If you look at the aerial, well, that's not really a good shot. I'm trying to find. This is a large lot, and Wyatt and I actually went out there because it looks a lot worse on paper. If you
No, I know what you're saying. It's a large lot against another large lot.
yeah, there's a lot of space between structures.
Mm-hmm.
And just to add in, Miss Simpson has talked to her neighbor to the north, and they have no problem with the addition being as is, or as drawn. So I know that the one neighbor it does affect, like I said, to the north of them, doesn't have a problem with the addition that we would be adding on.
Angie, can you hear me?
I can.
Did we get the dogs? Did
They're
we
barking.
did we get an email or a letter from this adjacent property owner?
No, ma'am, not that I recall.
Okay, thank you.
What's the addition? I guess we can get to the sort now. We understand the problem, how we got here. I don't have a drawing showing me what the addition is. Is it 1 level, 2 level? Is it built in or a screen or?
It's a one level. It's basically on that side of the house going from the foundation survey. That's actually the master bedroom, and it's mainly extending it out feet. And then to the left of it would be a mud room coming in from the deck to the swimming pool.
So it's a one level roof
Yes.
tying into the existing house.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cole, it's that area that's shown on that second survey at the rear of the house.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get the scale of it now in volume. So it's just
Yeah.
a one level, not a two level. I have no further questions, Brian.
Nor do I. Entertain a motion at this time?
I move we approve BZA case SD-20-10-03 as
I second.
Was that Mr. Foley?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Jarman,
Yes.
Mr. Foley.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your variance request is approved.
Thank
180 days to pull your permit. Thank you. Okay, moving on, case number 4. Case number SV-20-01-04. It's 2510 18th Street South.
Mr. Jarman, can I say something real quick about
ma'am.
this? This is currently zone C2. There's an application for rezoning that is going to be on the agenda for the Planning Commission in November to rezone it from C2 Neighborhood Shopping District to R7 Attached Dwelling Unit District. The report is written assuming the rezoning takes place and it becomes a residential designation and not a commercial designation. You can, of course, put a contingency on your approval that the property is rezoned, if that's what you choose to do.
All right.
But I just wanted you to know it was written as if it were going to be a commercial property from that perspective.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, is the applicant available?
Yes, this is John Abernathy, 303 Ascot Road in Homewood, but I'm here tonight representing Gold Nugget LLC.
Okay.
Yeah, Sherry, the C2 has a 0-foot setback, front setback already. Is that right? I know you said condition it, but I was thinking that the commercial was already a 0-foot setback.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe you're correct.
And we do have we do have an application in for R7. So our hardship is we have a 50-foot Birmingham Waterworks board easement going through the property that is can't be touched, and a 20-foot sanitary sewer easement as well. If you have those drawings that were highlighted, you have a thin property depth as a ditch and a flood zone as well through there.
Selfie.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. If anyone from the public would like to speak about this case, they may add their name to the speaker list and be heard. Anyone in the queue, I guess, to speak about this?
Nope.
Okay, I'm surprised. All right, okay, we'll close the public portion and open up to questions from the board.
So this Birmingham Waterworks easement, and I think I've actually ran into this on one of my job projects, but this is one of those ones where these older water lines, they won't even let you pave on them, cross them, correct?
That's correct. We've met with them and we're not allowed to grade or park or
Right.
do anything on them, not even landscape.
Yep. Yeah. I've been there. It's kind of ridiculous, but so you're kind of wedged in basically, unless you put a bridge over it to get to that
You
other
can't
little
put a
piece of
bridge over
parcel.
it.
Yeah, they
No
wouldn't
bridge.
even allow that. It's a
Wow.
pedestrian bridge there, and I'm not sure who really put it in. I think they may have.
It's the waterworks we all love and know. Okay. Thank you.
So is there any visitor parking? If so, where is it located? You just got one ingress and one egress, and so you have to be headed south pretty much?
Yes, there's one way in, one way out in this. Again, this is just a concept plan, not engineered, but one way in, one way out. There's a few parking spaces, maybe 2 that extra over the code in this concept plan.
Mr. Abernathy, do these units, are you planning on garages?
Yes, so they have a first floor. Most of them are one car. I believe there's one that's 1 or 2. I think one that is a 2-car garage.
Do you know, Mr. Abernathy, with the 24-foot setback, roughly how far is that going to put their front door from 18th?
If it received the variance,
Yes.
probably it'd be if you have that plan, a little nook of the townhouses, so probably 5 feet off the sidewalk. I believe that right-of-way line is probably on the edge of the sidewalk.
They should have roughly 5 feet from the corner, these corners plus sidewalk, then gutter, then street.
Yes, that'd be it. Yes, about 5 feet off the sidewalk. Yeah.
Okay.
That end unit looks like it's really just about up on it, but I guess that's deceptive.
Well, the corner of some of the buildings are at that, and a little small wall, landscape wall that we showed is right there at it. But as far as the front door, it's about 5 feet.
I just worry about getting in and out of that. I know when the garden center or whatever was there, at least you had a little room to navigate around the parking area, grab a lot so you could get in and out. In the same way when the restaurant was there, and I'm showing my age by saying that because that's been so many decades ago. But that was a smaller building as well, is what I'm saying, that smaller structure. And I'm just concerned about the traffic on that street. I like, I love for something to be developed there because it's not a very enticing gateway into Homewood as you come over the mountain. But I'm just concerned about safety is my main concern. How do you get in and out? What if people have company? Where will they park? How will they get in and out? That sort of thing.
Yeah. Some of that turnaround you're talking about is on Birmingham Waterworks Board easement, so technically we're not supposed to be using it. And a lot of it is, as you've seen, is kind of sloughing off, if you've been there, off into the ditch.
Oh,
It is.
Oh, yeah. I used to buy plants there all the time, so, and in that, when it was the plant place, many times. Have you talked to the city about signage for no left turns and that sort of thing?
We haven't got there yet. No, we don't have any hard engineering plans. Again, we're in for the setback, and then we'll be asking the city for a rezoning. At that point, we'd be able to design.
There are 10 visitor spaces, I believe. Mr. Abernathy, is that correct?
No, not that many. So we've planned for 2 per unit. I think that's code.
So that would be 8.
16 spaces, and I believe we have
8 units.
Couple extra.
Okay, so you're not counting the garage space as a space. It's their spaces.
We are.
Okay.
We are.
So there's only 1 extra space per unit beyond an owner. This point.
Correct. There's 2. We were counting for 2 per unit, thinking that's code. So even on the 1 bedroom, I mean on the there's 1 bedroom, and then there's some small 2 bedrooms. We have 2 per unit.
Yeah, I was thinking that when we met about it, that there was going to be space for 2 additional spaces on the north end of it, but I guess.
Well,
no.
Again, this is a concept,
okay.
But it's how
Yeah.
far you want to push to the edge of the slope. You can squeeze in more spaces. Doesn't always mean it's the right thing to try to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vicky is texting me. She said that there are 10 spaces on the layout, parallel parking, 2 behind unit 1, 1 behind unit 2. But again, is that a concept plan?
This is a concept plan, yeah.
1 on the entrance, she texted.
Yeah, I've counted up. He's right. There's 2. I'm assuming one of the units has 2 car garages. That gives you 2 left over. But this is just concept. What they're trying to do is can they have this zoning change? Can they have the variance? They'll have to work all these questions out. No matter what goes there, we'll have to work out how parking works, how you come in and out of that. Beverly's correct. If you tried to turn left on there, God forbid,
yeah.
I'm sure all that stuff will come up in all the different engineering and planning.
Well, I actually drove there this morning. But it was not during, the prime time traffic. And I was able to turn left. I wanted to see if I could. Now, again, it wasn't 7:30 or 7:45 when I did it. So
Any board members have any further questions or comments?
No, sir. None for me.
I move we approve BZA case SV 20-10-04.
Second.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
No.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Jarman,
No.
Says
Sorry, you're
3 and 2.
3 to 2. Okay.
Mhm.
So application does not pass. Okay, thank you. Okay. Case number 5. SV 2010-05, 118 Morse Boulevard.
There were 2 portions of this case. One is an appeal of the decision of the administrative officer. And then the second part is the variance. The first part has to be acted on before the second part can be addressed. Just wanted to remind you of that.
Right, and we have to do that in writing.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Applicant available?
Yes, I'm here. I'm Jeremy Wright with J. Wright Building Company. The project that we're doing, we're actually in the process of constructing a new home for Michael and Ryan Player, which have lived on the property for many years and will live on the property in the future. And the project that we're doing, they donated their current home. We put an existing home, a new home back on the exact same footprint of the old home. But the property had an existing garage that had to be dealt with in some way. And very early in the project, we came to the city on the front end, initially to request a setback variance. We went over the ordinances and definitions and received some guidance on our options. We discussed the options at length to make sure we had a very clear understanding on the ways we could move forward. And what we were given, we were told that if the existing detached garage does not meet the minimum setback requirement, it can be repaired, rehab, but the size cannot be expanded. We sought the city's guidance to ensure we would not be in foul of the ordinance. We took their recommendations on how to proceed, and we proceeded that way. We discussed the extent of the rehab at length with the city. We wanted to make sure we completely understood the direction on how to move forward. This is not in your definition, but when we've researched the definition of rehab, it is to bring something back to life, to renovate, to alter, to make like new. The garage that was existing on the property was constructed around 1946 when the original dwelling was built, and was in compliance with the ordinance prior to the current zoning ordinance that's into effect. The garage as it sat, it had some rot on the lower portions of the walls on the left and rear of the structure. It had some rot on the roof of the building, and the extent of damage to the building from rot was well less than 20%. As we went through the process of rehabbing the garage, we left the existing foundation intact. We left the right wall and a good portion of the rear wall on the building. Those walls were never even removed from the foundation at all. They're still bolted the way they were when they were originally constructed. We replaced the affected walls. We replaced the roof. It was easier to replace the roof than it was to repair the area where it was damaged. And from a cost standpoint, the garage pre-construction, because it was an appraisal done pre-construction, was appraised at $21,600. The cost of what we've got in the project is about $11,000. And if we had known that we were going to get into this situation to where what we had would be classified as something other than a rehab, we would not have flirted with being in foul of the ordinances and would looked at moving forward in a different direction. So that's what I'm presenting to you on the appeal.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Williams, is this where staff discusses?
Well, staff provided the report, and Wyatt is available to answer any questions that the board has.
Here I am.
Do you have the correct staff report? Let's see. I hope your report is different from mine. I think I printed the wrong copy. But
I have the correct one.
Huh?
I do have the correct one.
Good.
I will speak on behalf of Jeremy. Yes, he did come to the city up front. That's true. And we did discuss this this rehab. And of course, I did tell him that based on, I gave him a copy of the city ordinance so he could see for himself what it says. And as long as it was remaining where it was, I didn't have a problem with him restoring it. It wasn't until I got some complaints that the building had been torn down and rebuilt that I went out there. I wouldn't have gone out there had I not gotten complaints. I went out there to inspect it, and I don't know if you can see this, but this is what I observed when I got there. Mr. Wright said we left a couple of original walls standing. What I observed were some of the original studs sort of, to me, looked to be sistered in. It's hard to call it any other way. And the whole entire thing appeared to be sitting on a brand new slab.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little confused at I tried to imagine myself standing in front of it and explaining how this is a restoration and not a rebuild. So I was in the unenviable position of having to reach back out to Mr. Wright and let him know that if he was going to continue with this, it would need approval from the BZA at this point, because it's a little more than a restoration that I'm at liberty to approve, if that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions about that?
I looked up, I'm assuming this is correct. This is the correct address, but I mean, this is the previous structure. If you can see it, I don't know. It's my daughter's iPad. But anyway, but that's the structure. That's the previous structure there. And I mean, going from that to what it is now, just saying I replaced the roof a little bit. I don't know. It does seem like a lot of work was done to it.
Did y'all get the pictures I sent this afternoon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I will point out that on the front end, I did speak with Mr. Wright about raising the ridge of the roof 8 inches. And that made sense because that shallow roof wouldn't have shingles would not have fared too well on that. So I didn't have a problem with them changing the slope of the roof somewhat. I really didn't. But the problem came when it appeared to be a tear down and rebuild. A little more than I'm at liberty to approve.
Mr. Wright, do you have any comments on that?
I do. And I don't ever like going against what a building official says. I've been building for 24 years, and this is the first time I think I've ever done anything like this. And I understand where Wyatt is coming from. And the foundation that's there is the existing foundation. The foundation, as it was done, had a hand trowel finish and wasn't draining as well as it needed. And we did put a cap on top of that slab, so when you drive up, it does look like there's a new slab, or you see a new slab, but it is a cap that is sitting on top of the existing foundation that's there. But we did go through and do the work in a very methodical way, in the way that was discussed pre-construction before us doing the work, and how we were looking to proceed.
Do any board members have any questions?
I know in one place you say that the whole back wall was kept, but the old studs, the ones that are sistered to the new ones, only go halfway across the back instead of all the way across the back.
Correct. So the back wall, the left half of the back wall,
Right.
the slab that was there had an 8-inch concrete block that went halfway across the back and then down the right side that stuck above the slab. And then the plate of that wall was bolted to that, and the studs were there, and they're still there. They were never unbolted, never moved. And when we removed the affected area, if I had been told that what we were doing was not the way to move forward, we would have probably handled the project a little bit differently. I know we would have. But what we were looking to do is it made more sense to replace those studs and replace that section of the wall than it did just to cut off the first 8 inches or so of those studs and put a short stud and then put a new stud cistern beside it for ultimate strength. And that was just the way we went about the project. But that rock was on the left half of the rear wall, and then on the left wall, just where it was built without treated wood like we do today.
Like that one stud on the right that shows so much damage, that kind of got me.
Yeah, the building that was there, and we talked about raising the height of the building some, and that was part of the result of putting the cap on there. So that's why you see a little short block on top of the existing stud, and you see a stud cistern beside it. But the walls are still standing the way that they were, other than that. And the building, it had one by siding nailed to the building originally, and then we stripped that off because they wanted something that was lower maintenance. And we put plywood like we typically do in new construction and put siding over that. So there wasn't a lot left once you took the siding off the building other than just studs that were there. So.
You did keep the studs though, is that correct?
Yes, the studs that you see there, they were never removed. They were always standing. And when we did the work, it was never torn down and just left studs sticked up. It was done in a very methodical way, as I'd originally discussed with the city, to where we actually removed a section of wall, replaced the studs, stood it back up, then went to the next wall and put it back up. I mean, it was done. It was done in the way I was discussed previously. And I won't lie, I wish things had happened a different way, and I wish maybe our conversation had been different in the beginning and we wouldn't have been at this point. But we were very careful to go based on what we had discussed pre-construction.
So the footprint hasn't expanded. And you said the ridge of the roof maybe grew in height by 8 inches. Is that correct?
That's correct. The footprint is exactly the same. The foundation is exactly the same size because it is the existing foundation.
I'm still not real clear on why a variance wasn't asked for in the beginning.
A ridge, if it's okay, I'm not sure that question's for me.
Or
Originally,
whoever can answer it. It's fine.
Originally, when I started working with the players, they had contacted the city prior to even talking about me to do their project. And the city had told them that they would need to do a variance if they were going to rebuild that garage.
Right.
And so I actually contacted the city about getting a variance to rebuild that garage. And I was not advised to get a variance and was told that either I would need to build a new garage and build it in conformity of the setbacks, or that I could rehab the garage. I didn't understand why I was being told that, but that's what I was being told.
Probably because there was no hardship. And there is no hardship.
That was what I was told.
Okay, I move we approve BZA case SV 20-10-05. Oh, wait a minute, we've got to do
That's
this.
not, yeah.
How this is gonna work.
Yeah, that's,
So if we have no more questions, and Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, right now we have to wait on our written decision and carry over the actual variance request until the next meeting?
correct. You need to, because you have to provide a written order on this one. So it's up to you now to deliberate, to discuss, and you can request more information if you want to, and then provide the applicant your written order.
Is this portion not to be open to the public, only for the staff and board to talk?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What is your question?
I'm asking, are we supposed to open this up with the public because we have not done that, or is this portion not a public discussion?
This is not a public discussion. This is for the board to provide its interpretation of this particular code section. It's an appeal of the decision that staff made that this is not a rehab, that it goes beyond a rehab. And so Mr. Wright is saying, well, no, we believe it is a rehab. So the board is asked to make that determination and to either affirm staff's decision and interpretation and enforcement, or to provide a new interpretation for this particular code that will be in effect from now on, and how staff will have to enforce this particular code and interpret it.
This is Jeremy Wright. May I ask a question?
Sure.
Is it okay if I ask a question?
Mr. Jarman, are you there?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Okay, so we were advised to look at putting together an appeal and looking to ask for a variance. If we had a favorable vote on either one, I believe we're in a position that we would be fine with that. If we had the variance, we wouldn't need the appeal. If we had the appeal, we wouldn't need the variance. So I think it could go either way. And our request would be that if you need time to rule on the appeal, that is fine. But we would like to also look at the variance request if that can be done.
That is a staff question, I think.
It would be this, I don't believe it's a, an or thing tonight. It's either move forward with the appeal, because that is the appeal process requires that you provide a written decision within 30 days after the hearing. If you choose to withdraw your appeal and move forward with the variance, then that would be a procedural question that Mr. Jarman could decide on. But if you were to withdraw the appeal, then it's gone. That there will not be any further action on behalf of the board to provide another interpretation of this code section, or to either affirm or overturn staff's decision regarding it.
So if he withdraws the appeal.
Sure, this is Stuart Roberts.
Sorry, go ahead, Stuart.
I was just saying, it seems like it's either two bites at the apple or one. You're saying if he wants to maintain his appeal, we would have to submit a written response. And if that's favorable, then he doesn't need the variance, obviously. If it's denied, then he needs the variance. If he wants to go straight to a variance, then he has to forego his appeal. So it's either he has to go through two steps or one. And isn't that up to him?
Yeah, I mean, but staff did not prepare for the, prepare a report for the variance portion, because frankly, if you were going to just review but you're right. Yeah. I mean, if he wants to pull the appeal portion, if he wants to pull the appeal and go straight to the variance, then I mean, I think you're probably right. I mean, it's something that he would have the right to do, just with the understanding that the appeal would not go forward. It would be dropped.
Right. So if the appeal is dropped, that means that your interpretation of the code, or the staff's interpretation of the code, is what would be still in effect going forward.
Correct.
Okay.
And staff's interpretation of the code was a part of the report that was forwarded this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Mr. Wright,
Is this something, well, let me ask this. Is this something as a board with staff need to discuss, not tonight, but since we have 30 days, and maybe have, Stuart on our board is a lawyer. Do we need to talk to the city's attorney too? Because I'm confused, to be honest with you. I'm used to looking at for appeals. I mean, not appeal. I'm not used to appeals. I'm used to doing variances. So this is kind of a new one for me, and I'm still not quite. Stuart helped me a little bit to understand what was going on, but I feel like this legal part of it's way over my head. So I'm not really understanding to be able to do something tonight.
all this says is that an appeal of the decision of an administrative officer is basically just like it is tonight. Mr. Wright does not agree with how Wyatt interprets and enforces this particular portion of the code regarding rehabilitation or restoration of existing non-conforming buildings. The part of the powers that you have as a board is to provide an interpretation, and you would be essentially acting as if you were a Wyatt, as if you would be reviewing this, and you would either say, yes, we agree that what Wyatt's interpretation and enforcement is correct, or no, we don't agree that it's correct, or this is how we believe it should be interpreted. Whatever your decision is, though, requires a written order. You have to put it in writing, because you are changing from that day forward how that particular code section is enforced, and so it has to be in writing. You have to write down why, the justification for changing it, and in what way you want it to be interpreted and enforced. And that's just not something that you can do tonight. I mean, I suppose that it is possible, but that's why you have 30 days. You have until the next meeting, essentially, to form an interpretation and present it to staff and say, this is how you're going to interpret it from now on. And
Well, I feel like there's several things going on here, but I almost feel like I'm a juror now. But for us to do the first portion, that if we agree with, the decision made by Wyatt, I feel like all of us would have to be on site, look at it for ourselves, listen to what Wyatt has to say and Jeremy has to say. Maybe we can come to an opinion at that point. Anything beyond that, we would just be guessing.
And
I mean,
my
it's obviously
problem-
two different opinions that I don't have enough information to make that decision tonight or in 30 days, unless I actually was out there to hear everyone show me and tell me what they believe and what they did and what they think they saw. And maybe then it still seems like it's a weird position for a board to be put into, but at least that would be more information for all of us to understand a little bit more about this versus just looking at different writings and different people's opinions.
And I'm struggling with, are we really looking at Wyatt's decision or staff's decision in the beginning? If staff hadn't made the decision they made in the beginning, then Wyatt wouldn't have been put in the position to have to make the decision he made. Or does that make sense? No, I kind of see these two things as kind of tied together. So I don't know that at this point.
I don't know.
I don't know that I can say at this point that his decision was wrong when I'm not sure that staff's original decision was right or wrong. Do you see
what original decision of staff's?
That they couldn't have a variance.
That I cannot imagine.
For a variance.
We would not tell somebody, well, no. First of all, staff would not tell somebody that they cannot ask for a variance. I mean, requesting a variance is the right of every property owner. To deny somebody the right to request a variance is denying their property rights, their right to due process. And we wouldn't say, no, you cannot request. We can't, we wouldn't say, no, you cannot request a variance. In a conversation about it, somebody could say, you really got to prove a hardship. And I don't know, what your hardship would be in this case. So you really need to look at it and come up with what your hardship is going to be, because technically this board is not supposed to grant any variance unless there is a hardship. So
Understand that.
This is
So-
Jeremy Wright. Can I ask a question?
Please do.
The question is, if we could withdraw the appeal, could we also carry the appeal over and hear the variance case tonight, and then later make the decision before the next hearing if we want to also withdraw the appeal at that point? Would that allow us to move forward tonight?
Ms. Williams said that once the appeal is withdrawn, it is a dead issue.
But could the appeal be carried over so we don't lose the
Carried
right
over.
to apply for the appeal and hear the variance case tonight, and then later we may make the decision to withdraw the appeal?
Okay, Vicky is texting me. Vicky, can you just call me and let me put you on speakerphone so that, and then we'll try doing what we did last time when we couldn't hear you well? There we go. Okay, hang on just a second. Let me. All righty. Are you there?
I am. Okay, what I was trying to get across was it's their interpretation of the wording of the code, not like going out there and making the decision that he had taken down past the point of restoration and to the point of a rebuild. I mean, that was, that's what White saw. It's what does the code mean based on the wording in the code where it talks about renovations and rehabs are allowed, but if it's brought down, it has to be brought back up to code. So it's the words the board is supposed to look at and give an opinion on the interpretation and how we have interpreted it. So I'm trying to get it off of a physical action and back to a review of our code section with regards to this action. Is that more, am I muddying the water more, or?
Right.
I get that, but is that something this board does, or is that through planning commission? I mean, we normally aren't writing our
No,
own.
it's actually state code, Brian, that says that the Board of Zoning Adjustments has the authority to review when someone feels that we've interpreted it wrong, appeal a decision of a zoning official or a building official. That's where you come first, is to the Board of Zoning Adjustments.
If you look, I forwarded the board a copy of the rules of procedure this afternoon.
Right.
And which it was in
Yeah, and I
section
reviewed state
18.
code.
Yeah, and Vicky looked at state code to make sure that it, but section 18 talks about, how long you have to provide your written decision. But yeah, that's a lot of people don't understand that y'all are the most powerful board in the city. Y'all can do things that nobody.
That's fine, but we got that information right before this meeting, didn't realize what we're talking about here. So I don't think any of us are ready for any decision on an appeal. And I feel like we'll have to have a meeting with us all as a group to kind of talk through it all at that point. We kind of understand the direction, but to say that we can do that tonight, I'm not prepared for that.
That's why you have 30 days to provide your written decision.
Okay, well then I think this should be.
It's not a
We
decision.
should take those 30 days. Yeah, we should take those 30 days, but shortly after this meeting in the next few days, set up a meeting where we all can. Now, can we do that without being with the public, or does it have to be a public meeting?
It depends on what we discuss. I mean, a meeting is defined under the Open Records Act based on whether or not we are deliberating. A meeting in which we are deliberating about a decision is a meeting. A gathering where we're talking about the facts of the case without influencing each other is not a meeting. I know that, and until we, it makes it difficult to say in advance what this is. If we, for example, we all went out to look at the property and all made our own observations and asked questions, I don't think that has to be open to the public. If we all got together and sat around and said, based on what happened tonight, how do we interpret the rules, then that probably is an open meeting. I know it's a hard thing to, it is a defined term, but it all comes down to deliberation. Are you trying to influence a decision versus gathering information for the decision?
Yeah, and I was proposing to gather information, not to make the decision, but prior to
If we only have 30 days to do that,
So
we won't have another meeting before then.
how do we land this plane? Is like
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
I have no idea.
I don't either.
So, well, tonight was meant to be the fact-finding portion of it, and then you would prepare your written decision. Hey, Vicky, have you spoken with Kendrick?
Not about this in particular. The way it's been handled in the past, well, I've actually never had one here at Homewood, but in Georgia it was handled as if it were a court case, basically. And the deliberations were done that night, but they were more used to doing it than y'all have been. What I would suggest, besides talking to Mike, is to perhaps, yeah, you're right, you have to do something in 30 days. We may have to have a special call. I don't know. I'll call Mike while you're talking about it.
Okay, call him and find out how, do they set up a committee to do this? Can they meet about it?
Okay, let me call him. I'll call you back.
Okay, bye. So she's calling Kendrick.
Would we just make a motion to move on to the next case? Or
You can do that, and then when we hear back, if at that point we'll know what to do. I mean, if he says that you have to meet, I just can't even imagine what he would say. So, Mr. Kendrick. So,
back to Mr.
Okay.
Wright's.
Yeah, if it's back.
Mr. Wright's last question about postponing the appeal and just voting on the variance tonight, that is not something, and having the appeal being brought back up, that's not something that can happen. Is that correct?
Well, anybody can appeal anything at any time.
Well, you said that. Well, I thought you said with regards to this, if the appeal is withdrawn, it is.
Yeah, if he withdraws
no longer valid.
the appeal, then it is not an active appeal. He could withdraw. Because tonight,
the question is, can he carry over the appeal and go straight to the vote on the variance? If he gets the variance, the appeal is moot. Can he carry that over without prejudicing his right to revisit the appeal in the event his variance is denied?
I don't think that
I think that's the gist of the issue.
Yeah, I don't think he would ever lose
answer.
his right. I mean, because I wouldn't think that he would lose his right.
Right.
It would just be a different kind of appeal, though. If you were to make a decision on the variance and he wanted to appeal your decision about the variance, that would go to circuit court. It wouldn't go the appeal route. This is the appeal of an administrative officer's interpretation and enforcement of a code. So an appeal of a variance, like I said, would go to circuit court.
I guess my question is was he? I want to carry over the appeal. I don't want my appeal heard tonight, but I would like to have a vote on my variance. And we voted his variance down, for example. Would he be precluded next month without having to apply again, without having to go through all the things he's done to this point? Would he be precluded from an order of, can he take that out of order, is what I'm saying? Can he come back next month and say, hey, I really think this was a restoration, this was not a demolition rebuild?
No,
can he do that after?
The appeal of your decision, if you were to vote down his variance request tonight, then he would not come back to you to appeal for an appeal of that section of the code. He would then have to go to circuit court to appeal your denial of the variance. The variance denial appeal would go to circuit court. Let's take the word appeal out of it's that he is basically appealing to you for an interpretation of this code section. He's looking for you to read this code section and interpret it. And tell the city how they should interpret it. Either you affirm how it has been interpreted and enforced by city staff, or you come up with another interpretation because you believe that city staff has been wrong in its enforcement of it. So it's really just it's more of a question of explanation than it is, appeal makes it, maybe that kind of muddies the water. It's just what it's called. But to answer that question specifically, if you were to deny his variance tonight, he would not come back to you for an appeal or an interpretation of that.
Right. We understand that. We understand that the variance, it could be on two tracks. He could appeal variance and go to court and then come back next month and ask for an appeal for us to hear the appeal on the renovation versus demolition rebuilding issue. They're two different, two different entire, they're completely independent of each other. Correct. My question is there a requirement that you go through item 1 and resolve that before you get to number 2? Or can he ask for a continuation of item 1, ask for a vote on item 2? If he's not successful with item 2, then he could come back and argue on number 1 and file an appeal of number 2. That's my question. And I'm not meaning to belabor this. That was just my only question. I think that's what he was asking.
Mr. Kendrick was not able to answer his phone, so Vicki is sending him a text.
So let me ask this question.
Yes.
If we go to number 2, if he elects for us to go to number 2 for the variance and either carry over or ignore or drop whatever the appeal in number 1, and we take care of the variance request, whatever that is, does that then mean that the way y'all interpret it is the way y'all will continue to interpret it if we don't act on number 1?
Yes.
Okay. That's
if you do not, yeah.
I just want to be sure. This water is so muddy. I just want to make sure
you will not have, you will not have issued an order otherwise telling us how we should interpret it. So we will just carry on. If he now
for other people, for other cases.
Let's just say he's got 10 other people lined up in Homewood that he plans to do renovations or whatever. And so he says, all right, tell you what, I'm still going to want this
Clarification.
this interpretation,
Okay.
but it doesn't just apply to tonight's case, is this one address. So yeah, I still want this interpretation, but I also want to move forward with my variance.
Okay.
I don't see why that would be a problem
Okay.
at all. I mean, unless you know of a reason it would be.
Mm. Okay.
Miss Smith's being very quiet, which makes me nervous. That makes me believe she's just sitting there thinking. So
Mr. Cole always makes me think about things I wouldn't otherwise have thought of.
did that cover?
Make sure I asked them all the questions.
But did I answer your question, Mr. Roberts? Yes, he can go forward with the variance tonight if he wishes, and still request that y'all provide an interpretation of this particular section of the code, just because in the future, you know, he wants to be more clear on the process.
And it looks like from the procedures and bylaws, section 18, it does contemplate a continuation. So if the appeal is continued to the next meeting, we would then have 30 days after that next meeting.
Correct.
So-
Yeah. It's
Okay.
not 30. Yeah, it's 30 days from the hearing or a continuation, because
Okay.
in case you needed to request additional information or something like that. This is not a hear it and make a decision same night kind of thing.
Good.
Or it's never been in my experience.
So do we need to hear from Mr. Wright about which direction he wants to go, or
Yes, you certainly can. I mean, it was properly noticed and advertised, and it is on the agenda, and it can, so yeah, I mean, it. Mr. Wright, you're muted.
I was waiting to see if I was needing to speak. So I would like to carry over the appeal to next month, and then would also like to present present my side for the variance case.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to ask this question a different way one more time, if we're going to go that route, because I'm curious. If we rule on this and we're in favor of it, he doesn't even go through the appeal at that point. If we rule on it and say no, we decline, can that appeal go back to for this case, or that appeal then it's just for the future?
No, the only appeal to the variance decision would be to circuit court.
Yeah. So I just want Mr. Wright to understand that as well. That's where I thought we were going, but.
Yeah.
To clarify, if I may, so what you're saying is if I look to carry over item number 1 to next month, but then item number 2 is approved or not approved, whatever the case may be, you're saying that I would not be able to have the appeal heard next month?
No, you can have the appeal heard next month, but let's say, for instance, if they were to deny your variance for tonight, the two variances, the side and rear setback variances, if they were to deny those variances, your appeal process is to circuit court.
For the variance alone.
For the
But
variance.
appeal of the zoning or the building official's decision would still be heard next month.
Yes.
All
Correct.
And that's,
They are
just want to make sure that
very, very clear on that, and I'm good with that decision to carry over the appeal.
Then you understand that that the appeal of this interpretation is not a retroactive thing that could correct something that may or may not happen tonight. Wait a minute, Vicky's calling me. Hang on. Hey, you Do I put you on speakerphone or no? Well, that was a whole lot of fun, and I've got Vicky. Hey, Vicky, what is that? Vicky?
I don't know. It's not me. I'm going to mute the phone for the moment in case it's just feedback from it.
It's feedback. Somebody has their speaker open. Tell Donna she can call in. There's a number associated with this meeting, and she can just call in on that number.
Okay. Well, see, I called in because my microphone wasn't working. I'm going to mute it now.
Okay. Mr. Kendrick said that you can do what we were saying essentially. You can continue the appeal and go ahead and hear the variances. If that's what you want to do. I do want to say that it has been brought to staff's attention, and after looking at photographs and on site, it appears that the rear of the house extends beyond the front of the garage. If that, in that it would no longer be considered in the rear yard. It would be considered a side yard structure. Garages are permitted in the side yard, but they have to meet building setbacks. They would have to meet the same setbacks as the structure, as the dwelling. So this just gets more and more muddled.
Well, I think at this point, this is going to have to be continued. We'll probably have to have a special meeting, right? In between now and our next meeting, we're just going to have to call a special meeting once we get all the facts ready and ready for us to make whatever decision needs to be made.
About the variance?
We've already,
about the...
I'm just saying, we've been on this case for an hour and we've got 5 more to go through, people waiting. I just feel like there's more information coming out, therefore it's going to have to be continued. I don't mean we should wait 30 days for the applicant's sake, but carry this to another public meeting when more facts are put out there, more information given to us.
Okay, well, I believe
especially if he's going to need a separate variance for the side yard. I mean, that's a whole nother issue. It's not going to be, it'll be irrelevant if that deems to be, correct and needed. There's no benefit for us to vote on his rear and side variance now anyway, if he wouldn't be able to continue without the additional variance.
It hadn't been posted, if that's true. It has to be posted and all that stuff.
True enough, yeah.
Okay.
So we need to carry this over.
I think you should do it by motion.
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Smith, this is our motion to continue. It's just a motion to continue the case until November, or?
Yes.
Okay.
No, or sooner.
No, or sooner.
Or till a special meeting is called.
All right, continue.
I just say until a special meeting is called or the November regularly scheduled meeting, whichever we can do first.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Smith voted yes. Ms. LaBeouf?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yep.
Mr. Jarman?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carried to continue the case until a special meeting can be called or the November meeting, whichever comes first. Okay.
Is it, am I still allowed to can I make a note? I mean.
Can you make a note?
Or will I be out of order? Based on what was just discussed.
If you want to say something, you can say it.
Yeah,
Just
the only thing I was going to say is the house that is there is exactly the same foundation, is on the exact same footprint as what was there previously. So in the construction of the house was not expanded, extended, or anything like that based on from the previous home that was there, and then the garage was there. Everything that's where the house is located, where the garage is located, is the same way something has always been located on the property. But I knew our plot plan had been approved with the house being where it was and with the existing garage being where it was. And that's all I'm noting. I'm not asking a question.
okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next case, SV 2010-06. Be 124 West Glenwood Drive. Is Mr. or Mrs. Stewart
Yes, we're here.
available? Okay, sorry you had to wait so long, but if you would state your name and address and the nature of your hardship, please.
Sure. We're Julia and Greg Stewart. Our address is 124 West Glenwood Drive. And we believe our home designer truck for stereo and builder, Jeffrey Ketchum, are on the call as well. We're requesting a 4.1 foot setback variance on the left or south side of our property. Our goal in this renovation really is just to add more space to our home without increasing the footprint. We're planning to add a second story onto the rear of our home, again within its existing footprint. Hardships include, number one, there is an existing tray ceiling in the home, so it would not be possible to step in the addition the 4.1 feet without losing the main level's tray ceiling or having to raise the floor height of the addition. Number two, due to the age of the house and the existing structure, the structural engineer we consulted preferred to load that exterior wall as drawn, as opposed to having 2-point loads on a beam inset in the house. And number three, we can't fully extend the build over the right or north side of our home due to an existing vaulted screen porch. And number four, to keep sort of the overall aesthetic of the house intact and to avoid having to add any more additional height, stacking the floors on top of each preferred. I also would like to mention that our home is 26 feet 6 inches from the neighbor's home on the side of the variance request due to their driveway, which is in between our homes. And included, hopefully you'll find a letter of support from the neighbors on that side of our home whom this variance would most directly affect. We've also included copies of the proposed plans and the structural engineer's report. And thank you so much for your consideration. And we'll let Chuck and Jeffrey address any specific questions you may have.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, first we need to open the public portion of the meeting, and then we can open up to questions and get a little more of your feedback. So if anyone would like to speak about this case from the public, they may add their name to the speaker list. Doesn't look like we have anybody in the public who wants to speak about this, so we'll close the public portion and open it up to questions from the board.
So this is a total remodel as well as a second addition or second story addition?
No, it's, can y'all hear me? This is Jeffrey and I'm mobile. I'm out at a game.
Actually, I can hear you very well.
All right, good.
Yeah,
no, it's
we can
just
hear you.
the second story. We'll be leaving except for the addition there of the staircase, we'll be leaving the first floor as is.
So does that mean the elevations in the drawings are not representative of what's happening, or you're saying the outside gets kind of remodeled, but with the inside, nothing's being remodeled? Because it looks like the front of the house looks totally different too.
Yes, correct. The front is getting a little bit of a facelift, going to add some dimension to it. But as far as the interior spaces, yes.
And so in the big picture, the overall footprint of the house is still the overall footprint of the house when you're done.
Correct. The little bit of addition there is to get that staircase coming in between the master and the porch. We're going to drop that staircase. Right now it's just a patio, but that's essentially that patio will become where the staircase goes.
Yeah, that open space becomes part of the interior space.
Yes.
But you're not going any farther back than the existing structure now?
Correct.
No further questions for me.
So just to confirm that the existing footprint is not expanding?
The only expansion is the area that is currently the patio in the very back of the house. It's kind of landlocked in between the master suite and the patio, or sorry, excuse me, the porch.
Okay.
So there's that. It's not looking at the plan.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good.
I appreciate the fact that it's 24 feet tall. From a personal standpoint, I live down the street from your clients. Okay.
I move we approve DZA case SD 20-10-06.
Second.
I second.
I think Mr. Foley got it in first.
Okay, Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Jarman.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Your application request is approved. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 7. SV 20-01-07, be 1407 Ardsley Place. Mr. and Ms. Slappy available? Hope I said that right. Don't see anything with their last name in the participants. Are the Slappies in the on the Zoom meeting?
She was here earlier.
All right. Okay. They're not here now. Can we just move them to the side and come back to them when they come back to the meeting?
Yeah, I don't know why not. We can just.
Okay. Okay. All right. One last chance. Mr. and Mrs. Slappy, are you on the call here?
They may have dozed off.
Amen. Okay, we will move the Ardsley Place case back one and try them again after case number 8. So we will move on to case number 8, which is SV 2010-08, which is 3112 Overton Drive. I believe I saw Corey Nation's name in the queue there. Are you available, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, if you will, thank you. You will please state your name and address and the nature of your hardship.
Okay, my name is Corey Nations, and my address is 589B Shades Crest Road. And our hardship is based on, we are adding a screen porch onto the rear of this home that previously had an addition multiple additions, and we're not encroaching anymore. The whole house that we're working on is at 7 feet from the property line. So our hardship would be that if we added a porch on and we set it at 10 feet, it would not center the room of the screen porch, and the house would not be centered on the same line. So like if you put a set of French doors in the center of the bed, the center of the den, and you walked out into the screen porch, they would not be adjacent to each other.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. Again, for the house on Overton Drive. If anyone would like to speak about this case, they may add their name to the speaker list. Okay, looks like we have none. We will close the public portion and open it up to questions from the board. Okay, Mr. Nations, question for me. Is this a new construction that's going on right now, or is it a reno?
No, we're doing a remodel to the existing main level. But the house has had a rear addition and a second story previously added to the house. So the footprint on the right side has never changed. It's always been 7 feet.
Okay, and it needs to be 10. So when we did the renovation, did you have to get a variance for the right side to begin with?
No, the previous renovation was done in 1992 or 93. And the city of Homewood has changed their ordinance, or for a 60-foot lot, you guys have to change the size.
Yeah, more than once. Yeah, they changed it more than once. Okay, I was a little confused when I drove by there. It looked like it was wrapped in hardy, so I didn't know. I assumed it was all being done now.
Correct. Yeah. Well, when we went to get our building permit, you know, what I did is I pulled that separate just so we could go ahead and do the rest of the work since the homeowners had already moved out.
Okay. So all you need the variance for is the new addition.
Yes, it's matching the existing house, correct. Sorry, my computer was about to die after watching number 5 for the last hour and a half.
Understand.
Are we ready for a motion? Anybody?
I have nothing further.
Yeah, okay. I move we approve BZA case SV 20-10-08.
I'll second.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Jarman?
Yes. Okay. Your variance request is approved. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Patty Slappy. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
This is Patty. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good, because you couldn't hear me a minute ago.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, I'm glad you're back, and we will now call case SV 2010-07, which is 1407 Ardsley Place.
Correct.
Ms. Slappy, if you will state your name and address and the nature of your hardship, please.
Okay, this is Patty Slappy, husband Donald, 1407 Ardsley Place. And the hardship would be, we purchased this home 5 weeks ago, or we moved in, And the existing home is, I'm reading off this because I don't know what I'm doing. The existing home is 8.8 feet from property line, and addition is in line with the house. It's a screen porch we want to do. However, the access from the main level is between 5 feet and 6 feet from grade, which puts us 3 feet closer. We are also planning a landing halfway down to aid our access to the backyard. Does that make sense?
It does. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak to this case, they may do so at this time by adding your name to the speaker list. Okay, seeing none, we will close the public portion and open it up to questions from the board.
So since I don't have drawings other than the one site plan that shows where the screened-in porch is going to be, and then there's some stairs and another item off to the side. So it's tough to understand what is on to the side of the house and how that's needed versus good access, but got to it from other sides. I don't have enough information to help me decide whether this is needed or not in that 7 point.
I'm sorry. Okay. I guess what I'm saying, I should have the construction guy, but they said I should do it. But the kitchen doesn't have any kind of door. I mean, it's just closed in with two windows above the countertop where the stove top is. So there's no access to get to the back. There's an internal staircase that goes down. The house doesn't sit up a whole story. And so what we're trying to get to is access to a screen porch, because we don't really have one. We have to go down the steps and then come back up steps to get there. You know, there's nowhere to do it. And we were hoping to do a catwalk on the side to access the screen porch. It's like 3 feet. It's a, walkway that would give us access without having to go down the steps. And we have an interior set of steps and then to come back up. There's no access.
Do you have drawings of this?
Yeah, but I've already been to zoning and they had everything, I thought. Yes, I mean, they have the copy. I spoke to Vicki and Sherry and Stephanie and everybody when I was there. And we went over all of this, and they had all these things they gave me. And then I also left everything they asked me to leave. I don't know what to say.
What was the question? I'm sorry. What are you wanting?
Just access to a screen porch.
No.
We don't.
What information did the board want that they?
I was asking, I'm saying, where's the floor plans and elevations and drawings of this? I just have a little sketch on a site plan, so I can't really figure out what we're talking about here.
There's a landing on the side of the house that will come from a newly installed door from the kitchen, and then
I get that everyone's talking to me. It's not a drawing.
We don't have a drawing.
Yeah, if we don't have a drawing, I can't. It's tough to. I mean, you can't explain it. It's someone that shows drawings, so we can understand if there's a hardship, what the need is.
Well, we thought for safety standpoint, we'd like to have outdoor access from our house, and we don't have any. You know what I'm saying? Most people would be able to get out of their house from the back without as an outside door. We don't have one. you know, we have to go through an internal staircase to get outside. And we were just trying to get outside access, I guess is what I'm trying to ask. I mean, I really don't know what to do. I thought I had done everything.
So you couldn't move it over to the other side and have an access from the room next to the kitchen that you could go straight out to it in any way? I mean,
that, well, that is, well, not really, because there is a laundry room that's pretty tight, and there's a tiny window there. The windows on this side over here are the perfect size just to add French doors. That we were also going to, I've already spoken to the neighbors, and we were going to grow, you know, some trees, and, you know, they were fine with it, because it won't really, they won't see it. They have nothing over there. Their house is, there's no deck over there. It's just, they have just a straight house. And they have a deck on the other side. They have a patio or something on the other side. And we were going to create a buffer with plants, which, you know, I would have done anyway, you know, just because that's what, you know, I would like to have greenery between houses. But yeah, I don't know what else to do, because I thought I complied with everything.
Did y'all look at the staff's report? It shows the rear of the house, so it kind of gives you more of an indication of where it's going to be.
Yeah, I just don't understand what's on the side of the house that's being proposed. That's why I would like to see a drawing.
Okay.
I'm assuming you have a contractor, there's a drawing that is how they're going to build it. So there's a plan, an elevation.
I'm sorry?
You said you had a contractor. Do you not have drawings for this? Plans, elevations? Something that we could look at?
Well, we haven't. Well, I mean, I didn't know it was necessary. I mean, I came and went over everything. I thought I'd have everything. I mean,
I believe you did provide, yeah, you provided everything that we asked you to provide, I'm sure.
Yeah,
because the plot plan does show where the addition of the landing and the stairs will be on the side of the house, and the distance from that to the property line. I'm sorry, I didn't know that they needed to see the actual elevation drawings of the addition to determine a hardship.
Yeah.
Well, the screen porch is not, it's just right behind the house. I mean, if you could see the back, the screen porch is right behind the house. It just fits into a section of the house. And then the only thing we were asking for was to be able to access out a 3-foot walkway just to get into the screen porch, which is right on the other side of the kitchen. But there's no way to go out the back of the house because there's no place to do it. The way the house is built, it's, you know, just, it's not up a whole story, but it would just be our way to access it. Otherwise, we'll have to go down the steps from the internal part of the house and then come back through and come upstairs to get into the screen porch. Do you see what I'm saying? There's no other way to do it because of the way the house is built.
Yeah, I don't have a problem at all with the screen and porch. I mean, just driving by there and looking, and I mean, there's just not a ton of space in between, you know, your house and your neighbor's house, and there's a ton of vegetation there anyway, so it's kind of hard to see. But I mean, the idea that you could, what kind of trees you say you were going to put in there?
Some big cypresses,
Cypress.
you know, the ones that grow, you know, that grow, well, whatever they told me. I think when I was in there, someone in there told me, I think Sherry, that Leland cypresses, and also there's a magnolia that are great. They grow really quickly. And I've already spoken to the neighbor about, and also I was going to put, we were also going to do greenery, what am I trying to say? Have above it, I would have a lattice work with ivy and all of that growing. You know what I'm saying? It would turn everything really green, and it'd be a lot more private than it is now. You know, because like right now, there's none. You know, because the windows, there's no real tall greenery. There's some at the street right as you drive, but I mean, it doesn't provide any privacy. You know, it's very low. And our plan would be to grow some taller bushes that would give us a privacy shield. You know, some pretty tall ones to start with. And cypress grow really, really fast in a short time. They're kind of the landscaper's privacy shield, you know, according to people that we've talked to. So, yeah. And the neighbor's fine. You know, we've spoken to them and they didn't, you know, lodge a complaint or anything. So I think, you know, it's okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of a lot to put in a small space.
So we won't be able to do a screen porch?
Do you have plans? I guess is my question. Do you have architectural plans or drawings?
Not very precise. I didn't know I needed them. You know what I'm saying? I had what I had, and I have drawings, but no, because we haven't gotten variance yet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like it was something we had to get okayed, but it's just a screen porch. I mean, I have pictures of it. Because it's what we had in our old house. It's exactly the same thing. It's just a screen porch. And it would just fill up the back space, not the whole back of the house, but one portion of it.
I'm talking about this catwalk stair. That's the part that's the main issue.
Right. And I mean, I didn't realize, I mean, because we had it down and how much space, but I had no idea. I thought I did everything I was supposed to do. I mean, I thought I had complied because I've been to the zoning 3 times and talked to everybody.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying, we're not saying that you didn't comply. It's just, it would be very helpful if we see the concept in you know, in an elevation rather than looking at a flat lines drawn on a page.
Yeah.
To see what it really would look like in real life.
Yeah, I'm not understanding the hardship you know, relative to the need to expand to the side. I guess I don't know if that's what others are saying.
Yeah, that's what.
I mean, I'd love to.
Well, see, the problem is that, you know, we're 70 years old, and the only way we're going to be able to do that is we'll have to go down steps and then exit the house and come back up steps to get to the screen porch. There's no other way to access it. And we'd like to, and the houses on either side of us, they jut out really far in the back. I mean, they've already got big additions going across their back, and we don't have anything. And I mean, if you drive through the alley, you see our house looks like it needs something. I mean, there's nothing outside, and everybody else has great outdoor stuff, and we are locked. I mean, you know, we can't do anything unless we go down steps, the interior steps to the backyard, and then come back up steps into a screen porch. And that really wouldn't make sense, you know, for us to do that, because, you know, we're not like, I don't guess anybody really want to do that. So I don't know what to say. I mean, that's a whole nother month. I thought I'd done everything.
What is the room on the other side of the house from the kitchen?
That
the left
is a lawn. Oh, there's
that
a
whole
lawn,
area.
Well, no, there is. Okay, if you're looking at the back of our house, there's the kitchen with 2 windows. Then there's another window, but that window goes down into a stairwell. You see what I'm saying? That's how we get to our back part.
I got that.
We have 4 spots, and so that's an open stairwell that we can't tamper with. I mean, that's the way to get out. And then there's the next room is a laundry room, but it's very, very small. Like with the washer and dryer there you can't really walk straight in. You know what I'm saying? You have to, when you go in, you have to turn to the side. I mean, you do it because you're doing the laundry anyway, but it's not a large room at all. You can kind of tell from the back, it's just a very minimal size, and there's not room to go out there because we don't have anywhere else to put a washer and dryer. I mean, we'd have to take the whole room apart. And right now
What's
there's not
beyond
room.
that? Does that run all the way to the far left-hand side of the house?
That's our bedroom.
That's a bed. That's what I was trying to get at. What's there? Okay. All right.
That's a there's a master bedroom, but that's not where we're going to put the screen porch. The screen porch was only going to be behind the kitchen. You see what I'm saying? The screen porch we weren't going to do it all the way across our back house. We were only going to do a screen porch behind the kitchen. And so that's just those 2 windows. The other windows, it wouldn't be on top of those. You know, it's this little portion of our house. So there's other access, but what we were going to do is a catwalk, you know, the little catwalk, and then we would have a privacy screen, you know, with lattice work going up, with greenery growing up, you know, vines and all of that. So it'll be extremely private, and then also do trees. So you really won't even know it's there because it will be, vegetation will be all around it. I mean, it might take a year, but we'll have the lattice work up with the ivy and all of that right away. But it would take, you know, the trees, you know, I can't guarantee how fast they'll grow, but the cypress grow pretty fast. I think they grow 3 or 4 feet a year. And we start out with a couple pretty tall ones. But the neighbor is okay with it. So, I mean, I don't really know what to say.
There are no further comments or questions from the board. Entertain a motion.
I'll move we approve BZA case SB 20-10-07.
A second.
Well, Miss Smith lit up, but there was a man's voice.
I believe that was Mr. Foley.
Oh, no.
Very confused. I wasn't judging. I was just confused. Miss Smith?
Yes.
Miss LaBeouf?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
No.
Mr. Foley?
No.
Mr. Jarman?
No. Sorry, your variance request does not pass.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to case number 9, SV 2010-09, 1152 North Shadesview Terrace.
Yes, this is William Siegel with Twin Construction, 1707 Shades Park Drive in Homewood is my address. We are seeking to do a rear addition for a master suite and den. It will be a 1-story addition on the rear of this home on North Shadesview. The house is existing non-conforming, and we're seeking to go straight back on the right side of that house. Currently, it is 9.7 feet. The requirement is 10 feet. So we are asking for a 0.3 foot variance for the right setback.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Siegel. This is a public hearing. If anyone is still awake and would like to speak to this case, they may do so at this time by adding their name to the speaker list.
Bless their heart.
Okay. Yes, seeing no public comments, we will close the public portion and open up to questions from the board.
This is the second time you've brought us something that's 0.3 feet.
I think it is. I thought we were doing well last month, and this month has been a good one too. So
yeah, that's what I thought. You got a record now.
I think I was near the last on the last one too. We got to get that application in sooner.
Sooner you do.
No,
I got no comment for 0.3 feet.
I'll make a motion to approve BZA case 20-10-09.
That just makes no sense. Okay.
The second.
Okay. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Jarman?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Siegel, your variance request is approved. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Thank you all, and thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you, William.
Good home. All right, last case. I think, yes, last case, SV 201010, 521 Cliff Place.
That is me, Patrick McDavid. I'm here. Patrick McDavid. I live at 521 Cliff Place.
Okay, if you will state the nature of your hardship and tell us a little bit about your case, please.
Yes. So we, like the last one, are also reducing our asking for a reduction in our side setback from 9 feet to 8.3 feet. So for a total reduction of 0.7 feet or 8 inches. This is also for a second story addition, and it's an existing non-conforming main level. So we're just going sort of straight up on the current main level, which will be within that sort of 0.7 foot out of compliance.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak about this case, they may do so by adding their name to the speaker list. Seeing none, we will close the public portion and open up to questions from the board.
So what I understood with your drawings and application seems to be a bit different than what you said. And I mean that in the better way that I'm going to ask. It really looks like it's just this little projection out of the kitchen on the first floor, or the dining room. It's a nook.
Yes.
That's the only thing you're talking about that's encroaching, which is only one level, not 2 levels, right?
Yeah, so sorry for the confusion here, and I may need the staff support to kind of explain, but I incorrectly applied for that nook you're talking about. That's on the, if you're looking at my house, that's on the right side of the house. I miscalculated which side was my 9 foot versus my 5 foot side. And so in talking with Vicky and others, I determined that actually my 9 foot side is the left side of my house. And so I'm actually asking for that's right. I'm actually asking for a variance on the left side where you see the 8.
It does say left, but I went straight to the right side because of the nook.
Right. So that nook is within, I have a 5 foot setback there, and I think I'm 9 feet from my property line. So that nook is within my
So this
area.
is based on the left side being the existing house side that you're going up the second story. It meets it on the back side, but a little bit of a triangular
That's right.
piece of the lot line, which makes it smaller at the very front.
That's correct.
Okay, so got it. So it's a little triangle matching the existing left side going up.
Exactly.
I don't have any further questions.
I don't either.
I don't either. Anybody else? I move we approve DA case SC 20-10-10.
A second.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. LaBeouf,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Jarman,
Yes. Your various request is approved. You have 180 days to pull your permit.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.